was. That's what's up. See, we did this last year. Last year, while everyone was sleeping, we did this last year. Last year. There is no such thing as randomizing. So she goes into it more because this is one of her long videos. You know, Millie doesn't like to do big, long reports, but it was really, really hard. And, you know, Gavin and I were sitting there doing the math and we were trying, you know, Gavin is an extraordinary physicist. I mean, you know, I love math. I've said that's like my superpower is predictive analytics. I speak ones and zeros. I tell you that all the time. I speak ones and zeros. So we're sitting there putting it down and she's like, how do we deliver it to the people so they understand without needing a degree? Most people can probably do algebra. How do we explain it? So hopefully you can walk away with this and understand when I say, where were you in 2019 when this happened? We gave you the cipher. We gave it to you. We did. We told you. It even says, will they steal the 2020 election?
Within a reasonable margin. This was evident in documents sent to me from a whistleblower regarding the Kentucky 2019 election. Forensic investigators who examined the leaked documents saw evidence that suggested manipulation of vote counts. However, due to encryption, the logs from the computers used to process the total vote counts would need to be seen to see if the totals were manipulated before being transmitted to the Board of Elections. This is Millie Weaver. I just delivered to the governor's office documents that a whistleblower sent me on Friday alleging election fraud in Kentucky. These documents were so concerning that I decided to come down here and deliver it to the governor himself. Now that the governor has these documents, I hope that this will spark some kind of reaction and investigation into these very concerning documents that were leaked.
There is not any real sense of transparency with how the voting process works. And the more people look into this, and this isn't nothing new. HBO did a documentary on this 13 years ago, I think back in 2006. And what you're going to see is that we do not have checks and balances. And that whether you are a liberal or a conservative, whether you vote one way or the other, we should make sure that we have integrity in the election process when it's 100% digital and electronic, to make sure that people have confidence. Because if the people lose confidence in their ability to actually know that the vote they cast is the one that was tabulated for the person they intended it to be for, if we lose that ability, I don't care for ideology, we lose something in America that is the uniqueness of our nation.
Since some of our elections are outsourced to private companies who further outsource to foreign companies to aggregate, encrypt, and tally our votes, the election data becomes proprietary. This is why when you request such information from the county, they write you back and tell you, sorry, that's proprietary, we can't give it to you.
Why is it people are always interested in things that are none of their business?
Getting that crucial data would only be possible through subpoena. Good luck on that one. The two companies that own and operate the electronic voting machines in Kentucky, Harp Enterprises and Hart Intercivic, conveniently can prove that their system gives a perfect recount and that the encryption works.
The Texas Secretary of State has received several reports of people having problems when voting straight ticket. It's specifically related to the Hart Easley machines. The Secretary of State's office saying people reported the machine changed one or more of their selections to a candidate from a different party.
However, they cannot prove that their system gives an honest recount, that neither they nor anyone else has access to potentially hidden functions, whereby votes could be manipulated or swapped in and out with scripts completely undetected. Not to mention the owner of both Harp Enterprises and Hart Intercivic has an exclusive contract to furnish systems, custom software, computer equipment, consulting, etc. with the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky. Did I mention they print the ballots too? Gee, I wonder why they can guarantee that the recounts will be the same as the first count.
One of the problems that we have is, okay, how can we ensure that the encryption process is really providing the contents of these votes? And it's not, for instance, changing the votes and providing a different results just to manipulate the election.
So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I should like to present for you all a world-famous rabbit from a hat. Thank you.
The first step is shuffling and re-encrypting the vote.
This has nothing to do with the trick. This is just union rules for magicians.
But what could happen here? This process can cheat.
Did you hear that? This is just union rules for magicians.
Can cheat, for instance, the election officials. Instead of providing a re-encrypted vote, they can change and put another vote.
There's nothing here, nothing here, nothing here, nothing here.
Again, here we have another point in which the election can be manipulated.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm really sorry. See, that's not supposed to be there at all. That's supposed to be on a hook, right around the back of the table, you see, like that.
So proof can be generated here, and at the end, auditors and observers can use this proof for check that.
You do not laugh, you do not applaud, until the magician produces a rabbit from a hat, like that. Hello.
Then at the end is when we can provide the transparency.
SkyToll's lead scientists explaining their scheme at a tech conference in Barcelona. And they claim that their scheme is unbreakable because the voter is going to get a receipt, an electronic receipt that proves to them what they voted for. However, this is all completely undermined. Their verification structure is completely undermined when you don't need a zero knowledge proof if you're already monitoring the phone and therefore have all the knowledge. And so Carrier IQ and SkyToll working together is absolutely capable of undermining all the votes and doing it very selectively, so they only change a few votes.
Wow, that's a lot of unchecked power for a small group of people to have. But wait, there's more. But it's not just SkyToll. Other companies like ES&S, Dominion, and Smartmatic all connect to database systems like the Global Electronic Management System, while you wrestle with the reality that international interests count, manage, organize, control, and operate most of our elections in the United States. Realize that this election software is more than just a tool to possibly manipulate the outcome of elections.
SkyToll provides secure, transparent, auditable, and accessible solutions for election modernization, e-governance, and e-democracy. Our e-democracy solutions help cities, counties, and countries improve their citizen engagement.
Amazon is a global partner with SkyToll, and SkyToll uses Amazon Web Services to host their cloud systems. Google and SkyToll have partnered to provide live-time Google Analytics of election results, as well as creating an online voting interface.
Results are displayed for the public and media using SkyToll's election night reporting. The product is designed to address the needs of all users, with specific attention spent on users with accessibility needs. This product also was developed with a responsive design so that it can be easily viewed from any device or screen size.
Do we really want to trust Google's hands in our elections when most of Google is run by a bunch of deranged SJWs?
So one person asked, why didn't they do this with the 2016 elections? They did, but they didn't expect the turnout. So their algorithms failed. They didn't have a failsafe because they didn't think she would lose. You got it? They didn't think she would lose. So their actual algorithms that they had already pre-scripted in there could not bear the weight. Now, in 2018, they did it, and we let them do it. But did you see that key thing that she said? Where do they host everything? Amazon. Didn't we cancel the contracts with Google to then use Amazon? Almost sounds like,
We have some leaked video, and it comes from Google. The Google bosses, they were pretty hysterical after the election of Donald Trump in 2016.
I certainly find this election deeply offensive, and I know many of you do too.
Is there anything positive you see from this election result?
Boy, that's a really tough one right now.
I mean, why bother lobbying when you can just go around it and rig the elections to your favor and only let the politicians win that have your interests in mind? Why would tech giants have an interest in software used in elections globally? Gee, I can't imagine why.
Many governments around the globe are racing to infuse technology into just about every aspect of its city's operations. And I mean every part.
Including public transportation, IT connectivity, water and power supply, sanitation and solid waste management, efficient urban mobility, e-governance, and citizen participation.
And it does this using every buzzword imaginable, from big data to the Internet of Things.
The Internet of Things, or IoT, is influencing our lifestyle from the way we react to the way we behave. IoT is a giant network of connected devices. These devices gather and share data about how they're used and the environment in which they're operated. Sensors are embedded in every physical device. It can be your mobile phone, electrical appliances, vehicles, barcode sensors, traffic lights, and almost everything that you come across in day-to-day life.
You see, it's not that this software is part of our elections. This software and our election is part of something else.
Our smart governance solution covers not only smart cities, but a province, a smart country, a smart county, any smart electoral government body that we actually choose to address. From a top-down perspective, we leverage tools like surveys, e-consultations, petitions. From a bottom-up perspective, we provide tools like Seidel e-democracy portal and Seidel social media monitoring.
Seidel is literally harvesting your personal social media information and metadata for elections to nudge us.
Nudge is undoubtedly one of the most successful public policy initiatives of the last decade or so.
Voluntarily or through election manipulation towards their model of global governance.
Combine that with data mining software and predictive behavior, and you can even figure out which voters aren't going to check and aren't going to look, check, or complain, and call you back, and you know which 1% of the votes to flip, which 2% of the voters to flip, with very predictable results.
So the idea is to have localized control integrated with the global centralized system. In other words, this is our version of the social credit score, but rather than just a credit score, it is a totally digital integrated system where everything is interconnected through a centralized controlled database, and the election machines and software are just one aspect and phase of it.
So the Internet of Things is really just connectivity and processing power embedded into the world around us. And this is also the industrial world. It is our cities. So we're going to hear a lot about smart cities, about smart cars, and about the smart home. Because when everything is connected, all of a sudden we have data that allows us to really understand the world in ways that we never were able to before.
Globalism merging with progressivism through the Internet of Things and e-governance. Global initiatives data mining our internet activity, manipulating our election towards their end goals.
Tonight we take a look at a nation that has put nearly all of its government services online.
Key to it all? One card. It's a digital ID with encrypted files used together with a PIN code. Virtually everything, she says, can be done online. So banking, healthcare, voting, all done digitally.
It's also energy companies, telco companies, so buying things online or seeing just your bills or your energy consumption, this is all available with a card.
And the next step for this small country is to expand beyond its borders by offering what it calls e-residency to everyone in the world.
We are not looking at election fraud in the traditional sense of stealing votes from one candidate or the other. We are talking about a database system that takes your voting registration, DMV records, your available metadata, public information, then creates a unique profile that is integrated into a modeling system that projects live-time modeling of likely voter outcome. This model can then be used to game the election by generating scripts to run in place of actual vote tallies, modifying the voter turnout to a desired outcome within believable ranges. Could this be why they failed to steal the election in 2016 for Hillary Clinton? Because the polls had greatly underestimated the vote turnout for President Trump? They had all the polls rigged for Hillary. Problem is, they bought into their own rigged polls, and they under-anticipated the massive red wave that came with Trump on election night in 2016. Thus, they got their butts handed to them by the American people. If you go back to the beginning of the election meddling debacle, you see that initially it was Homeland Security that got caught hacking into the 2016 election.
Channel 2 Action News questioned Georgia's Secretary of State about a hack. He told us it traced back to a Department of Homeland Security IP address.
Well, mad as hell.
You mean they tried to get in there and fix it, right? Because they underestimated, right? Because President Trump was a genius. He let them show those polls. He was telling us they're fake, letting them believe that she would win. You see how that works? You see how we psyop them as they were psyoping us?
Georgia's Secretary of State Brian Kemp all fired up after what he called a massive cyber attack on the agency's network on November 15th, traced back to United States Department of Homeland Security IP address.
According to this letter from Kemp to the Homeland Security Secretary, Jay Johnson, on November 15th, there was an attempted breach of the Georgia Secretary of State's network linked to a computer with a Homeland Security address. Kemp writes, at no time has my office agreed to or permitted Homeland Security to conduct penetration testing or security scans of our network.
Could be a bad actor in the administration, could be a bad actor in the administration.
However, they said it was because they were hot on the trail of the Russians hacking the election.
What if I told you that the person that was at DHS that entered that computer may, and this is pure speculation, allegedly the persona Laura Robb that we had on Zoom calls that said that she worked for DHS, that then became CISA.
Remember?
It was an unprecedented cyber attack ordered by senior Russian leadership on the U.S. election. Now President Obama is ordering the intelligence community to conduct a full review of Putin's meddling.
But then, when it all came out that there was no proof of Russians hacking the election, everyone seemed to forget about Homeland Security having hacked the election.
Well, I think it's going to fit in, Boris, to this investigation that President Obama has called for. It's that Russia tried, perhaps, to look into meddling in the election. Russia tried, perhaps, to look into meddling in the election. Not that they actually affected it, because if you remember, election officials, DHS officials, tried to assure the American public that even if Russia was trying to meddle, it wouldn't be able to actually affect the outcome.
For instance, how was Homeland Security getting in and out of the voting machines?
DHS officials tried to...
But when the the states came forward showing the forensics didn't show Russia hacked their machines, rather the machines were only hacked by the Department of Homeland Security, that's when the narratives took an important twist and turned into a collusion story.
We were beating the drum pretty hard, beginning with a conference call I had with every state Secretary of State on August 15th.
The Obama aid package to the Ukraine with the $1 billion loan guarantee Biden threatened to have withheld if a particular prosecutor wasn't fired just so happens to be the same aid package instrumental to Seidel getting a field office in Kiev. Seidel's election training provides a permanent online trading platform to the Ukrainian Electoral Commission. The Obama administration must have known, among other things, that there would be discoveries of foreign meddling in the 2016 election that benefited Hillary Clinton, but not quite enough. And knowing that the Democrats and media would be implicated, had to put a spin on it, accusing Trump of exactly the same thing they did. Gee, you don't think this is why the Democrats started up this bogus impeachment inquiry, do you?
What have we learned from Democrats' impeachment inquiry? They promised the country a fair hearing. What have they delivered? The impeachment version of three-card Monte. Notorious short con card trick where the mark, in this case President Trump and the American public, stands no chance of winning.
The Trump administration began investigating the allegations of foreign election meddling in 2016 to get to the bottom of what initiated the surveillance of the Trump campaign, and to find out what the basis was for the special counsel investigation into false allegations of the Trump campaign collusion with Russia. In other words, Trump wanted to find out who started it. In order for the Trump administration to get to the bottom of the foreign meddling in the 2016 election, they had to send investigators outside the U.S. through channels outside those set up by the previous administration, to places like the Ukraine, to obtain information regarding whatever was on the DNC server.
It's called the swamp, and you know what happened, and you know what I did? A big favor. I fought the swamp. I fought them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that
we did.
I thought all of this corruption was going on, and nobody else could have done it.
Pro-Democrat investigators from the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, or NABU, willfully helped the Democrat Party and candidate Hillary Clinton through the release of financial dirt on then Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort during the 2016 election. Allegedly, and most interesting, there is a mirrored version of the DNC server in the Ukraine that has revealing information on it, debunking DNC claims about Russia hacking the server. What if what's actually on the DNC server is the blueprints for how the Democrats hacked the 2016 election? Holdovers from the Obama administration who were party to or have an interest in the Ukraine corruption became alarmed that the Trump administration was using alternative channels and closing in on their foreign election meddling, money laundering, and foreign aid schemes and their questionable quid pro quo deals. So they did what any crafty criminal would do before getting caught. They tipped off Adam Schiff via the whistleblower and are now using a contrived impeachment process to cover up their own crimes. Talk about a real plot twist for a made-for-TV soap opera. This is going to get real good when the Horowitz and Durham investigations are complete. In the meantime, while we all sit here and watch this train wreck in slow motion, the fix is in for 2020, election fraud. So here's the real question. Can the red wave overwhelm the Democrats' electronic voting in 2020? Well, only you can make that decision. The Democrats can't steal an election if there's an overwhelming wave of Trump voters that hit the polls. And if there's more whistleblowers out there that continue to shed light on the corruptions inside the Democrat Party and the deep state. You guys can help support my work and the work of InfoWars by going and taking it.
Yeah, no, you don't go to InfoWars. You go to millennialmillie.com. She also has a subscribe star that you can that you can help and support us because, you know, even though Gavin, Millie, and myself are visible, we're a team of more than 5, but less than 10. And so, you know, we do this on our own. No one funds us, but you and ourselves. And so it's not InfoWars, not InfoWars. Now, if we had all this, I think that report by Millie was perfect. She made it concise. She explained to you how it was going on. We actually did the math. We still have the math. And what you're going to find out is that, well, I mean, I kind of told you we had everything from Ukraine, right? Well, I kind of told you that they were wiretapping. Well, we do have everything we need. The thing is, just because we have it doesn't mean we can show it. See, I remember when I was in school, this is, you're going to understand this. I was taking plant physiology. And we had to do a project about the physiology of plants. And it was a graduate level course where we learned everything there is to know, how they move, groove, everything. And we had to do a project. So I thought, obviously being me, what I'm going to do is I am going to answer the question that no one's answered ever, which is I'm going to find out why plants migrated to land. Because the going theory is, oh, plants were algae, and then they decided one day just to get up and go and migrate to land. Like, so what? Did algae just like get together and talk and in the ocean and say, yo, yeah, this ocean and stuff, which is, you know, more than land, is kind of getting old. How's we all move? And I would ask, you know, my professor, I emailed, contacted big scholarly minds on plant physiology and paleontology, and their answer was like, they just did. And it's like, damn, how dumb is that? You have degrees coming out of your ears, you write books and you teach students, and you couldn't answer that question? You're telling me you understand the origins of the universe and the planet. You know how dinosaurs sound, look, and feel, but you can't tell me why plants decided to migrate to land. Well, I gave a very plausible theory, which is based on dinosaurs, really. So, you know, today, if you actually get a you know, I should publish that picture. You know, I have so many of those, but it's like nobody cares. I could do that. I mean, maybe my kids will do that. The hard drives are there, right? But dinosaurs right now, if you had a Brontosaurus's DNA and you grew it, which we can, it would crush under its own weight. Do you know why? Do you know why a dinosaur would crush under its own weight? Gravity. The Earth is not spinning as fast as it did then. So the atmospheric pressure is different. And bugs are smaller now because bugs have a circulatory system, lymphatic. It's more lymphatic than anything. But they have like little holes on their bodies where the atmospheric pressure pushes in oxygen. They don't like breathe it in, it just pushes in. So now that oxygen is less in the air, right? We don't have as much oxygen as we did then. The bugs can't be as big because then the atmospheric pressure wouldn't put enough. So now they're smaller and they adapted to that. So dinosaurs, the same. They needed more oxygen. At that time, there was a lot of oxygen. So if you have a lot of oxygen, it means that the planet was spinning faster. This is physics. If we go by the physics they give you. Okay? And I stress that. So using the physics and the logic that they have given the world to work by, the plausible answer is that the atmospheric pressure was different. Ergo, that was a motivator to move algae out of the water because that would change the concentration of oxygen to be reduced in the water. To overly increase to toxic levels, not reduced. So they would have to move to land. That makes sense, because the first multicellular organisms were actually armored because the pressure was so hard from the atmosphere. So if there's a lot of atmospheric pressure, that means there's more oxygen in the water, ergo it would be toxic to the algae. So basically the algae moved because the water was not good enough for them. That was a motivator. That was my explanation. No one's given an explanation. I put it on paper. I have some slide on, it used to be called SlideNet or something, where I did the whole thing and I used it, and it sounds plausible. For anyone that doesn't even have a science background, you'd be like, yeah, that totally makes sense. So again, this is why we can't tell you and we have to show you. Right now, you're understanding that you've not been free all this time. The oxygen right now in your area is toxic. And it is only then that any species moves over for change, when they are under threat. So this is why it had to be like this. This is why you had to see it like this. This is why few of you would have the ears to hear what many have been saying for years. This is why you are at the precipice. This is where we're at. You're at that point in the cliff that you're like, damn, I can't breathe. I gotta move somewhere else. And this is why I told you that story. There's always a logic to how nature pushes the evolution of organisms. It's the same thing. This is a battle for your life. This is a battle for your future. This, in essence, is a battle for your species. And you have to decide, are you going to be the algae that hung out in the water and maybe a third of it, not now, and that's actually quite generous. I would say statistics would be more like 1/16 of it survived and adapted to a more high concentrated or extremophile, type algae? Or are you going to be the algae that says, fuck that, I'm moving? This is where we're at. This is why we can't just tell you, we have to show you. So now, how enraged are you to see that the Kentucky governor right now in the Commonwealth of Kentucky stole the elections in Kentucky with a smile on his face? We had put all this information that all your fabulous pundits are coming out with now a year ago. We had cracked their code. We know exactly where they shuffled. And I'll tell you what, my content was purged from the internet. See, these people are smart. They know exactly what they're doing. They made sure that you had no access to it, because there's articles that I had on Loomer, on Haley's, on mine, all purged. Purged. So here's where we move forward, you guys. We decide. Do you sit there and be a victim and hope that you will adapt to the extreme conditions of a asphyxiating, oxygen-rich, environment? Or are you going to move on over and say, you know what? I'm going to turn into a redwood and a fern. I will dominate. This is where we're at. For those for years, oh yeah, she's just a Q thing, she just talks cryptic and stuff. She doesn't know what she's talking about. How you like them apples now? So before we continue, I want to take a break and tell you that you should not be sad. You should not be feeling like, oh, they took over, because there's a lot that we already have. But the key is that you do something too. You must contribute, because you're the weapon. You are the actual storm. You are what they fear. And what they fear is that you have knowledge. Huh? What? How dare you? Now, you may not like what you see, but you will like what you hear. Totally love this person. I follow them. Amazing voice. Let's do this.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. Ooh, oh, and I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean. Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, and that's what I mean. This whole world is a new world, and a whole world for me. Stars when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. Freedom is mine, that is how I feel. New dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. Oh, yeah. Oh, and I'm feeling, oh, and I'm feeling good.
Okay, that ended faster than I thought. Gosh darn it. Didn't even get the milk and sugar in. I like my coffee sweet. I like it. So, all right. So where are we at, you guys? So I'm just going to put out a tweet of that beautiful map. So while everyone's talking about Dominion, just Dominion, right? Just Dominion. You saw this wonderful map. I just tweeted it out for everyone who's, a super expert. And gave you the map. We told you what it was. And, like I said, Millie Weaver is great at pointing things out, putting together very intricate, because we tell her and she's like, and she delivers it just like anyone that doesn't have the knowledge delivers it. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could do it, but I have to sit here and talk for like 30, 40 minutes to explain it. And I actually do think I did an episode where I talked about the math in 2019. Should be on iHeart, iTunes, Simplecast. You'll find it. I mean, Spotify kicked me off. Too much truth. But as you can see, all of the states run the same software. All of them. Every single one of them. And you see those little black spots there? Because those counties are really small and they do hand counting or just optical scanning. But they still use machines. So all of these votes are shipped overseas and counted and brought back. Now, where does all that money come from? Is what you need to ask yourself. Where does all that money Where does it come from? See, if Alaska has gems and not Dominion, then why did Alaska take so long? Think about it for a second. Oh, Alaska took forever because they had a glitch. Well, they have gems, not Dominion. So why were they late? Same freaking software. Same freaking clowns within the federal government. We're going to find you. Because non-attribution is really, really, really hard. Really hard. And I know a guy who knows a guy, and I know a few guys that can actually find that. We will find you. Because I know that you are sitting somewhere. Let me see if I can go on the map and show. Where are they sitting? Where are they sitting? You want to take a guess, you guys? Where do you think they're sitting? I think they're sitting somewhere over, I don't know, here, and ask yourself, why does this state have all these different machines? Look, they have one of all. Very special state, right, Brennan? So, again, we've had all of this. We have everything we need. And when I say it, I mean it. I'm not just parroting someone. I'm parroting myself. We have everything we need. And if people understood that, and if people actually reported real news, you would know. Misinformation is a very key player here. See, because they're telling you, oh, they're not connected to the internet. Bullshit. Oh, it's Dominion software. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. Because this is the problem. When we get experts that are semi-experts, what have I said? The most difficult, well, there's knowledge and half-baked knowledge and no knowledge. No knowledge is dangerous, but half-baked knowledge can tear down empires. When people think they know, not know. They think they know, not know. That's the problem. So when people are sitting there telling the world things because they have a title, or yeah, I'm an ex-CIA, or that means nothing. Means nothing. Nothing. It means absolutely nothing. They're just setting you up. In Kentucky, they were talking about the extra ballots. You want me to tell you how they won it this time? The software didn't change. The scripts did. They were being adjusted, real-time adjustment. That's why they had a problem. And you know why? Because they knew that there would be a turnout, but they wouldn't be able to know. So what did they do? They worked with the post office. They paid people to make sure that they can bring in more ballots to make the damn algorithms work. That's what they did this time. That was different last time. In 2016, the code cracked. They couldn't. There were so many people, they couldn't. So here is where they mitigated for it. They're like, you know what? What if a lot of Trumpsters turn out? What if a lot of people vote for Trump? What if it fails? That's okay. We'll just feed ballots for Biden and that'll amplify it. So now they've got us with over 160 million people voting. The fuck? There aren't 160 million registered voters. How is that even possible? No one's asking the basic questions because that was the mitigation. I'm telling you, all these people, I know that journalists and people love to feel relevant. Gosh, I know. I have an ego too. We all do. We got to put it aside and unite. We got to put aside petty differences because this is not a drill. This is not for you to escalate. This is not for you to be petty and say that you broke the sword. Well, I've been doing this, so, I know this. Stop. It's not about you. It's about the United States of America. It is about our freedom. It is about our nation. Why are you worried about you? The information is there. We should all work together. Instead, they're working against us. Because now I'm a true investigative journalist and I do this. Or I'm a true, I have verified record of working here and there. Well, I don't. I have no verified record because people like me do not exist. But I am giving you hard, factual information that could save our nation. What is your problem now? You have a problem? Ever heard message over messenger? We need to unite. A united America is an unstoppable America. And you know, it really, really hurts me. It hurts me as a person when what I created was actually used against me. And that's okay. I'm game. Because that's human nature, and I understand how humans think. That was my job. So what do? We win. We win hard because we've had everything, and we tear them down, and we pull their pants down, and hopefully they're going commando, so it's super embarrassing. This is how we do it. You have to understand, the whole world is all in. All these self-proclaimed president-elects, kings and queens are all in. Because you know what? The Great Awakening is here, and they know that you are the most dangerous weapon. They cannot fight you, they cannot put you down, and they cannot silence you. And you have a leader that is not only your voice, but your fist. And what you need to do is get it together. Make yourself present. You don't need to march. You don't need to march. You can send a letter. You don't need to march. You've got jobs. They're already suffocating you and locking you down again for COVID again. See, that's what they did. How do we make sure we can mail out ballots and topple down the United States of America? Guys, I don't know. What if we deploy a virus? What if a virus leaks by accident and we don't tell them, and then we make it really deadly? It's a really strong SARS thing. We lock them in their house, and then everyone's terrified because there's people dying on TikTok and being burned alive, and China's a Gestapo, and then everybody is dying in Italy, and we stop airplanes and we stop this, and everyone's freaking out, and they don't want to even go outside. They have to use finger condoms to sign on screens. They're going to be terrified. They're going to mail in those ballots, and we will know just about who is winning. And then we will know a guesstimation of how we have to fix this algorithm. But, you know, those people, man, those people that follow freedom may actually turn up. So we need to have backup ballots. We need to destroy ballots. We need to use our own ballots. And if you missed something in that video, is what did we tell you? That Hardener Civic not only provides the machines, regulates the software, but they print the ballots. So this is where it comes down to it. So they planned this. It was all about impeachment, because they wanted to use impeachment last month, right? Because it wasn't going to work. They were desperate because not a lot of people were mailing. They were desperate because a lot of the population was going in person. They were desperate. This is how it went down. I'm telling you how it went down. So they had a backup plan. What we're going to do is we're going to have people slow walk shit. Then we're going to have the state legislator screw the people over. Or maybe they won't, because they know that they will come for them with pitchforks. So what we'll do is drag it out and get our representative to go up. Oh, and we will make sure that the Pentagon's totally on board, because they allowed us to have that node. And the NSA, the IG of the NSA made sure we had that back door. That's how it works. Gina Haspel, you bitch. Because she has her eyes on everything, and she could have fixed this. Pompeo, why are you covering it for her? And what was she and Mitch McConnell talking about after the closed door Senate Intel Committee that I did not see? What is it that they did? Why did she sit with Mitch McConnell? What were they doing? All of them, knowingly and willingly, committed treason. That's where it comes down to. And we will catch every single one of them. There is nowhere you can hide, because surveillance goes two ways. And when I say that I heard Schiff, and I saw his emails, and I saw his texts, colluding about this whole Ukraine thing and how they were trying to convince Biden, you better believe I heard and saw every single word of it, because I have been on point with that from the beginning. Now, one thing we do have is Space Force. We did have people come in. We did have people go out. The thing is, you can't trust anyone right now. You can't trust anyone, because no one wants you to have knowledge. Knowledge is power. And if a weapon has a battery in its butt, damn is it dangerous, right? Because I can have a nuke sitting in my freaking bedroom. but it's not going to explode itself without being powered. Your power as one of the most potent weapons against any dictatorship, any evil, is having power. Your power is knowledge. You see how that works? That is what terrifies them. That is what terrifies them. And the more people try to be, I'm an expert. Shut up, expert. I saw Julian Rum tweet out, oh, I feel like Biden's laptop's going to be... Nobody gives a shit about the laptop. Laptop isn't going to do shit right now. What we need to focus on is exposing every single local representative, every single person that signed these contracts, the poll workers that got paid by the credit unions. Where did the credit unions get their money? Where did they get their money? Where did they get their money? Who allowed our stuff to be shipped overseas? Hey, maybe did we look how Google was twinning the stream underwater, heading for Taiwan off the coast of California? Maybe China was where they actually calculated them. Who knows? I don't have access to those logs this year. Who knows? But you know, we have a lot of computer experts out there that say I need to look at the stuff and find it. Well, then go and find it and stop listening to misinformation. Trust your gut. These people are sick and they are dangerous because they are terrified. Facebook, you know, all of them. This is it. This is it. This is our war. This is our storm. Where we tell DM, you have contacts with your reporters, DM them. Why aren't you talking about the stuff from 2019? Suck it up and report it. Blast it everywhere. Do it. Nobody needs to give anybody credit. We're on the same freaking team, dude. We're on the same freaking team. We need to be working together. You are the news, not the ones with the tiaras and the sashes. You are the news. You are the news. So what do? You send a letter to your president. You get that video from Millie Weaver and share it. The one where me and her lay it out, talking, all of it. You share this map that I tweeted out. How did these women have this? Tell us that they're going to steal the elections in 2020 and nobody did anything. You send messages to your representatives. Why have you not pulled in these people that cracked the code? I DM'd Dr. Shiva and said, dude, you're doing it wrong. It's the trap door that we just need to find the key. Who has the key? Who is the key holder? Who's got the key to the trap door? That's the question. Again, Trump needs to throw me in a basement with coffee and cigarettes. This would be over in 72 hours. Well, not by myself. Okay. We need to be in a basement. Because obviously, people want notoriety. Maybe me, I was always in the shadows. I never got credit. You know, you work in places where you could save the world, stop a war, save someone's life, save a prime minister, and you can't tell anyone. That's the type of work I did. You can screw over a whole government, and you can't tell anyone and say, oh, I did that. You can't. So I'm okay. I mean, it hurts my feelings now that I have a public voice, right? Where people can see me. It's not an alias. It's not anything like that, right? Kind of like Ronna McDaniel. She has an alias. You know that, right? Because she's an asset for the CIA, right? You know that, right? Do you know that? Or no? Because she does have an alias. This is why I've been on her. She's a tricky little bitch. So she's a CIA asset. She has an alias. I'm telling you. So, you know, I get salty a bit. But it's not about me. And egos have to go. All of us have to strip those egos and say, let's get this out. Let's pull their pants down. We are the weapon. We are the weapon. And Brennan, is the key in Texas with your wife? Where is it? Because I'm going to find it. And I know it sounds selfish. And I know everyone wants to see him perp. But guys, there's no one on this planet right now. I really believe it. No one on this planet except for me that wants him to be held accountable. I'm so selfish. And I am so hard-headed. And I will do everything in my power to get that done. And and you know, this morning I was on a show with Kirsten and I had a lot of fun. And she says, you know, you say nice things about him. How can I not? I mean, how can you not? I mean, a lot of these people, I feel bad for them. Looking at them and you're just like, well, how could you feel bad for them? Because when you know them and you understand them and you understand their weaknesses, it's like those Antifa people that Andy No put, and they looked all sad. One of them was like, the oldest one was 37. They looked like 100. How do you not feel sorry for a tortured soul? Even a soul that is raping a whole nation of their freedom, how do you not feel bad for them? Because they're being tortured. They're tortured souls. I know it sounds crazy, and it's really hard because it's contradicting what you should be doing. It's sad because we're all supposed to care for one another. And this is the bottom line. We have to choose good. We have to choose love, and we have to choose unity. It's not about who gets the story out. It's not about who solves the problem. Because you know what? If someone would say, Tori solved the problem. No, I didn't. I wouldn't have been able to solve the problem without you. Right? I wouldn't have been able to solve the problem if I wasn't freaking out because shit was happening. I wouldn't be able to solve the problem if, I didn't break my finger in a ladder and was sitting down and just happened to see something. I wouldn't have been able to solve the problem without you. We are the solution. We are the ones that are solving this because we're the weapon. It's not one person. It's not two people. Yeah, okay, so we're a team of more than 5, less than 10. But we're nothing without the people. Because you're the actual weapon. I mean, we could be the fuel, but you're the weapon. You're the biggest weapon. They fear you. This is why they hate President Trump. They hate him because you love him. And if you love him and support him, you can destroy them. That's what they're terrified of. That is the truth. They are terrified of you. So terrified. And that's okay, because they should, because we're coming for them, every single one of them. So it's important we get the word out, we push and push and push. I mean, the truth be said, I get so frustrated when I think, people don't realize I never wanted to set the world on fire ever. I never did. Because it's hard. Because when you torch something, it's torched. It's completely torched. And it doesn't come back burnt to a crisp. It doesn't come back the way it was. It comes back different. Always different. But we can't not do that. We can't not burn the place down, because it's by burning the place down that we can rebuild it better. That is how we get change. This is why forest fires are really, really bad, but also okay, because they help change things. So let me finally get that coffee. Let's listen to some music.
kiss their farewell, and maybe we'll come back to earth who can tell. I guess there was no one to blame. We're leaving crying. Will things ever be the same again? It's the final countdown. The final countdown. Oh, we're heading for Venus, and still we stand on. Just maybe they seen us and welcome us, oh yeah. And so